In this lesson, we'll get our curbs in place. Alright, so let's get our curbs put around our area here for our corners, as well as on the edges of these areas. So you could do that really easily just using our offset tool. So I'm going to go ahead and hit offset here. And what I want to do is I want to apply my first curb to this area. So I'm going to bring this in. And the curb is going to be 6 inches. So we'll say 6. And we'll do the same thing for this side. 6. Hit up this corner as well. Offset inward 6 inches. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Offset inward 6 inches. So we need to add a curb here to the side of our sidewalk area. So I'm going to grab my sidewalk. And we can offset this in 6 as well. So what that'll do, it'll actually create almost like a double sidewalk here on this edge. So we could just come back in here and delete any lines we don't need to work with. So what I mean by double sidewalk is just this area here. So what we can do is we can come to this space. We could click. Should be able to click this line. There we go. And we can delete that line either by right clicking, or we could just use our eraser. So I'm going to use my eraser. And I'm going to go ahead and extend this line on over to where it hits right there. Hit escape once. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. So what this should do is create a nice surface, and we have a nice clean curb that's kind of continuous all the way throughout. So let's do the same thing for this side. So again, it's just select your surface, grab your erase tool, let's erase these guys, and let's just extend this one over. I'm making sure I'm staying on my main axis, so making sure that my line changes color and it kind of snaps in a way. So there we go for that side. Almost done. So we'll come back on this side here. So again, I'll make sure I got my surface selected. Hit my eraser tool, and I don't want this area. And then we're just going to finish off those lines. So you kind of get the rhythm here. I'm going to double check in here, make sure my surface is good. So far, so good. And we'll take care of this side here as well. So check my surface, grab your eraser, and let's erase these lines. And let's pop in these lines. Finishing off our clean curb area here. So now we have nice curb. We could see some nice edges, which really tells the true story of what we're trying to do with our site here. Since our sidewalk is going to be flush with this terrain, we really don't need to do much with it. But I do want to make sure that my model is setting correctly. And it looks like we could stand to move this up. We're still off just a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and select my model. I'm going to grab my move. And I want to move this in the blue direction. What we can do is we can actually measure how off we are. Let's come back under here. Let's grab it from this point and just snap it to that point. That should help us out. And that should get us flush. And that's exactly what we need to do. So I'm liking where we're at right now. So we're looking pretty good on our model. We got almost everything in place. So now pretty much what we can do at this point, I really don't want this to be angled like that. So let's go ahead and take care of this issue really quick. And let's redo these lines. That's going to affect our terrain here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring these up and snap these to that point. And it should, again, create that surface for us right there in that middle area. So I'll double check it real quick. And if it didn't, not a problem. Just grab my additional line work here and see why that didn't happen. What we could do is we can erase this line. We'll erase this line. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up a little further. So do another line here, snap it to that point, snap this to that point. Maybe this will help us out. This should create that nice surface there in the middle. Perfect. So now what this means is I can grab my measuring tool, should be able to measure, and I should have some nice even numbers. If I don't, I can make whatever adjustments I need to make. So again, we're going to be moving in either 5s or 10s. We're probably going to be moving in 10s. So I may want this distance, or moving in 5s, excuse me. So I may want this distance to be 105, and this one here can be exactly 150. So let's do that real quick. So we'll grab these points, say 150, and then 105. So then I can just make a real quick readjustment to this. So I'm going to grab these lines. grab just this edge here, and I'm going to say move, and I want to move it to there. Do the same thing with this line here. So we'll grab this line, we'll say move, and I want to move it to here. So now we'll double check our measurements really quick. Make sure we're moving in increments of 10, and if we are, we're pretty much ready to move on to our surface. So we got 105, which works for me, 10. So we're going to move in increments of 5 then. And it'll give us a little more precision when we're working with our terrain as well. And I want to double check, make sure that's looking good. Everything's offset. So now that we have that taken care of, this is where our terrain will actually exist. So I can go ahead and erase that. And then we can, in the next lesson, we'll come in and we'll actually work with this tool here, which is our from scratch tool, where we can create our surfaces here, where we can start manipulating our terrain. So I'll meet you in the next lesson. We'll work with the from scratch sandbox tool, and we'll start working with terrain and grass and dirt.